It's Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first. And Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win it. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
Trace, I think you might be muted.
Thank you. Look at Nick Senzel. Good for him. All right. Well, welcome into Chatterbox Reds, where the Fightin' Phils from Philadelphia are down. They're not down, actually. The Reds are down 8-2 from the Fightin' Phils of Philadelphia. Not off to the greatest of start. Had a beautiful intro while I was muted, by the way. I need to probably stop muting myself during the little intro there, just largely because I think that's happened like 3 times in a row at this point. So I do like to think that some point, Nick, while we go live in the top of the 9th or the bottom of the 9th, one of these times, the Reds are going to make a rally. We're going to come back and we're going to win a baseball game. It's inevitable, right? I mean, at some point it has to happen. We're not going to talk about the dunk. Yeah, we're just not going to do that. I mean, largely because I would like to make excuses, but I don't really like people that make excuses. So I don't want to be that guy. However, not really a I looked at the J bar. Not really a ton to get into tonight, really. It's just one of those like kind of baseball games that feel like there's not a bunch of storylines. Just one of the 162, as they say, unless something crazy happens here in the bottom of the 9th on the J bar that we'll rerun down through here once we restart the show, once this thing goes final. But I do get a little small kick out of the fact that you put Connor Overton again. That's.
I mean, you got to write it at this point.
Yeah.
It would be unfair not to.
I tend to agree with you.
It was a real struggle to find that topic right above Reds MLB. I had to text you like,
I'm gonna get.
what?
I'm
What
gonna
am
get
I
blamed
putting
for
on
this
here?
loss. It has nothing to do with Connor Overton. I'll take it right on the chin too. By the way, I obviously rewatched it when the show was over. Just a pitiful performance. However, you never know. Just saying, got 2 guys on. Need a lot to happen. Need a lot to happen.
Pereira's having some quality at bats, man. I tell you what, this is not the same guy. The last 2 months of 2022 look completely different at the plate. That is a massive positive because I was pretty out on him going into the year. Not like completely out, but not Nick Senzel out.
Oh, you're that out on Nick. Okay. Adam says, do you guys think the Reds could find someone off waiver wire better than the 5th spot? Well, if Sessa's the 5th spot, then I would say, I don't know. I mean, Sessa did have one decent outing. Connor, my man Overton, I think there's probably some other options out there in the world that we could probably figure out. I think Nick will probably get into that a little bit. I would suspect at some point you're going to start giving guys just flyers all over the place if you're not going to get any production out of that spot, right? I mean, you're not just going to keep running out Connor Overton, I wouldn't think, for more than a few more starts before you just start throwing caution to the wind and you say, okay, well, let's just give this guy a shot and then give this guy a shot and then maybe somebody sticks, Just the bulletproof approach.
The Reds have 2 options at AAA that are pretty well ready to go, and Luke Weaver, which we're going to talk about a little bit tonight, and Chase Anderson. So I think I said before the year started, there's going to be a couple of these guys who are just going to get a chance, see what they do, and they'll be recycled. And then someone else will get a chance. I don't know. Let's hold off on talking to Overton until we actually start the show. So
yeah,
I don't know.
How did Steven? I missed it because I was starting the show or something happened. How did How did Senzel get on?
I think it was an infield single that the ball was thrown away, and then he got the third on the throwaway.
Yeah,
I think
he hit a ball.
beat it.
His last at bat, not this previous at bat, but the at bat before that, he hit a ball really, really hard, Nick.
He's got 2 hard hit balls according to StatCast. So I guess it was an error. It was an error on that one. I kind of, when we do these like live, I'm like kind of half turned. I got to get myself I'm working on Kirby Studios is working on some renovations here in the next week. So hopefully we'll have a cleaner setup.
Yeah. Well, it's not always easy. It's Soto available. No way. Get up. Get up. Nope.
Yeah, I've had a lot of those tonight.
That would have made things interesting.
India, man, he's hit the ball hard all night.
Yeah, he has. He's looking good. He looks great at the plate too. It's not like it's. I mean, usually when you're getting hits and you're hitting balls hard, you look great at the plate. But even just the way guys, I don't want to get into too much because I want to save what we have for the show. But just there's certain guys on this roster right now that they just don't look comfortable, man.
That's 4 hard hit balls tonight for India. 1 for 4. That's tough.
Yeah. Friedel's another guy got a hit taken away from him.
Yeah. Yeah, man, Friedel 341. I mean, this dude's a player. I mean, they've got some pieces here.
And the bullpen threw pretty well today.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean,
Cruz is a little rough.
Was he though? I mean, I know. I thought Cruz made some good pitches, man.
He didn't walk anyone, so I mean, I guess that's a.
Did you? I mean, the hit that scored 2 guys was just literally. I thought it hit the end of the cat. It looked like it would have chipped the end of the bat. It was hit off the end of the bat so poorly, and the pitch was in a perfect spot. Sometimes you just get beat because other guys are good, or if not better.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather see him.
Going to do it.
Yeah, I'd rather see him.
All right, let's run this intro, folks. Talk a little quick Reds baseball, and we'll get on our way. Here we go.
Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first. And Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Are you kidding me? Holy moly, is the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games.
All right, welcome into the Friday night edition of Chatterbox Reds. The Reds drop one 8-3 to the Philadelphia Phillies. Nick, I know we have a J-bar full of some things that we'll get into a little bit. One of them is Connor Overton, a little Weaver time, as you have next. Perhaps that's a little story leading off the first J-bar topic of Connor, and then Nick Senzel and some Reds MILB. Not a whole lot to go from in this game. It kind of felt like one of those boring, I guess, in a little bit of a way, a boring 1 of 162 in my opinion. There wasn't too many, what I would say, huge spots. It didn't feel like one of those close games where Twitter's going to be outraged. Just kind of one of those average baseball games, if you will. So your overall thoughts, Nick, maybe a little bit of a box score recap, and then we'll get into Overton.
Yeah, this, I guess, was the first game all year where it felt like start to finish the Reds were never in the game, right? They had the one blowout loss to the Cubs, but they led 3-1 in that game. So this was really the first just one of those games, so yeah. I mean, Overton, 3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 0 strikeouts.
Bad.
I mean, that's your box score recap. I mean, he just, the Phillies came out, they hit him hard. The Reds had a couple guys that had decent nights at the plate. They had a lot of hard hit balls. They only ended up with I don't remember what the total hits are, but it wasn't a lot. 6 hits, I think. But did have quite a lot of hard hits throughout the night. But it's just one of those nights.
All right, we got Sean in the chat, thankfully helping us out here. I'm gonna try to knock it out while we talk, unless you already fixed it. But here we go. This is just for you, Sean, in the J bar. That's an unfortunate thing that just happened, but we had to do it. All right. I mean, my overall thoughts are pretty straightforward tonight. I just think that in order for this team to win, you can't keep asking the bullpen to go out there and have to throw 5, 6, heaven forbid 7 innings. And Overton, not only did he make the bullpen throw a decent amount of innings, he also left 5 runs on the board when he left the game. So just not a very good outing from him. We can get into his replacements, what options that are available. But for the most part, to keep it cut and dry, pretty plain and simple. I think this is one of the few times where people would rather hear me talk about my thoughts on Ted Lasso before I sit here and keep on spewing over a guy named Connor Overton, because I don't mean to be disrespectful to the guy. I mean, he's a professional athlete, but at the end of the day, he's just not good enough right now at this very moment to probably pitch in the big leagues. And I'm hopeful for my sanity that I don't have to watch it too much longer. And you think that there might be a replacement, yes or no?
Yeah, Luke Weaver, I mean, he pitched tonight for Louisville, so it just feels like that would be, such a natural change. Next start's against the Rays. So if it was maybe the next start was against the Pirates, maybe you say, all right, Connor will give you one more crack at it. Right. You have faced the Phillies twice, so that's tough. I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but you're facing a really good lineup, and you've faced him twice in a week, and you're not a very good pitcher. So, but yeah, I mean, I think Luke Weaver, tonight for Louisville, 5 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. He just has a much higher ceiling. He was hitting 94 on the gun tonight. Only had 4 hard hit balls against him. I don't remember what his final total pitch count was, but it was relatively good. So, I mean, I guess it really, at this point, it's just you're asking Luke, are you comfortable? Is there anything you want to work on? And if Luke's comfortable, I think you have him make the start Wednesday afternoon against the Rays. And then we need to see what Luke Weaver's got. He was brought in for a reason. I'm not going to sit here and say that Luke Weaver is for sure going to be the answer. But feel pretty confident that right now Connor Overton's not.
Yeah. Well, the beautiful thing about the whole 4th and 5th spot to a small extent is that if we wanted to get ourselves in a situation where we're giving this management, front office and or David Bell an opportunity to just kind of get a feel on multiple people, some of these guys that are, retreads or journeymen, whatever term you want to use, not guys we expect to help us in the future, they're not doing a good enough job to make it a hard decision. So that's the optimistic viewpoint if you want to look at it that way. We don't have we've talked about it, joked about it before, whether it's Kevin Newman or kind of a Kyle Farmer. We don't have one of those guys that maybe they throw really, really well, and it's like, man, this guy's having his career year for us. We can't take him out, and we really need to figure out what we got for these other guys. So that's about the most optimistic take I could say on how bad we have it at the 4th and 5th starter position, is we might start to be able to get a little bit of an opportunity to see some of these young guys when they're ready. When they're ready, by the way, when they're ready. That's important. I don't think that we as a fan base should be screaming to the minor leagues asking for anybody and everybody. I think it should be a situation where we feel like we would be comfortable with them. Nick, do you want to get into Nick Senzel?
Do you have any hot Nick Senzel takes? I
don't have hot takes. I think my take's actually a little bit different than what yours is, but it centers around the same thing. What do you think? And this is where, again, I guess I'll go back to just like some of the coaching days of Trace. What's the hardest pitch to hit, do you think? What do you think most people say the hardest pitch to hit is?
Probably a good curveball.
Right. So a wise man once told me that I never forgot. That was a really good hitter. I'll leave his name announced just in case he doesn't want his name announced. He asked me the same question. I said a good changeup, but the true answer, and he told me this, and I've always remembered it since there's my 9:30 shut off of my lights. But the hardest pitch to hit in baseball, Nick, is a ball. And that's the problem with some of these guys that we have that struggle. They don't swing at strikes, man. And I know it sounds easier said than done. And Joey Votto for many years, probably the reason that he was such a damn good hitter is that he swung at good pitches. He swung at strikes. And some of these guys, they'll swing at what seems like damn near anything. So that's my main thought on Nick, is if he can find a way to swing at balls in the zone, then I do think then he can have some success at the big league level. If he's going to continue to chase anything and everything that's out of his zone, and some of that might be nerves, to be fair to him. But I don't know how long we're going to keep on doing this. We go around and around and around and around when we do this, Nick, and it's like we sit here and try to make excuses for these guys left and right.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Senzel, I'm not going to give up on him completely. Like, why not give him a chance to play this season? You have plenty of spots to play him. Give him 4 or 5 starts a week, see what he's got. But at the same time, I've watched Nick Senzel year after year. The big thing with him was, well, he just needs to stay healthy for a full year. Well, last year he stayed healthy for almost a full year, and he was a really, really bad hitter. I don't know how else to say it. So, I mean, again, it'd be awesome if he, has one of these careers that happen. There's players that have been that were high draft picks, look like they're never going to put it together, and then somehow the light bulb just clicks in year 3 or 4. Maybe that could happen with Nick Senzel, but I'm not going to sit here and bank on it because I've seen too much that makes me think that that's unlikely.
Right. It is a miracle, and it is amazing that he was such a high prospect that it's still even considered that there's a chance, if that makes sense. I mean, if his name was, I don't know, Will Benson. Matt Reynolds. Yeah. Hell, even I would even say Kevin Newman to a small extent. Yeah. Like, I mean, we wouldn't even bring his name up. So I just think that I haven't lost all hope, but it is important when you watch the baseball game that it feels like some of these guys have an approach that looks like a big league approach. And that's one thing that from the very get-go, Stevenson has looked like he's had since he walked up on here, and he's been a big league hitter. I think that Matt McClain looked like that when I watched him play. And that's the one thing that I think that you fret about or you concern yourself about with Barrero. As stupid as it sounds and as simple as it sounds, it's obviously it's not. But just swing at strikes. Swing at good pitches and don't chase. And I think that was the downfall of Aquino. I know that you obviously were fans of Aquino, and I was kind of one of those guys that was very pessimistic and could never come around the corner on him. But largely it's just because this guy never swung at strikes. It didn't feel like that. So you're not to put you on the spot. Hopefully there's some better news here with some Reds MILB. We can jump into the chat here, answer a couple quick questions. Doesn't look like there's too many Senzel lovers out there in the chat either. I didn't expect that, guys. The guy's been hurt half his career, more than half his career. And he's never really produced at a high level for very long, so I don't think he's got too many fans that are going to come running to his defense.
Yeah, I mean, again, and I don't blame Nick Senzel. Like, I don't think he's not trying. I want to make sure that's clear. I think he's a guy that switched positions willingly, and I don't fault the Reds for doing it. I think that's smart baseball. It just didn't work out with him. There's nothing wrong with him. It just hasn't happened for him. And it is what it is. I did have a couple just things I wrote down, general thoughts about this game before we get into Reds MILB. I can't remember if I mentioned India before we actually officially started the show or not, but did want to mention India, man. He had 4 hard hit balls tonight. I just think he's looking awesome at the plate. I can't think of a better start to the season for India right now. Jason Vossler, I think he's won for his last 27. So that magic seems to have died out. Maybe that's just at the right time for Joey to come up. Makes that, I guess, feel a little better. And then just one other thing, I was watching it closely because we got a comment last night about Spencer Steer, and I thought he's playing really good defense. I was watching him defensively. He had a couple nice plays today. Barry Larkin noted on the broadcast just how confident he looks at third base.
I think he plays great third base. I know, was it Sean in the chat the other day saying that he was worried about him defensively? I'm not sure who it was. I don't want to put anybody on blast, but I think he looks great. I really do. He's an athletic kid. Plays, I think he just plays the game. I don't want to say the right way because that's a cliche thing to say, Nick, but I'm excited as hell for Spencer.
Yeah, me too. He's had an awesome start to the season, and I just want to note I did think he looked pretty good defensively. All right, you ready for some Reds MILB?
Hit me with it. I'm going to turn my lights on while you do it.
All right, let's go. All right, Louisville, they're up 6-3 in the bottom of the ninth, looking to end their 7-game losing streak. On the night, we had Votto 1 for 4. I did have 2 hard hit balls tonight. Matt McLean, 2 for 4, 2 doubles. And then Will Benson, he made his AAA debut for the Reds. Did get on base twice, 2 walks. So that was good to see. Chattanooga, they are leading 8-6. And Trace, they were down 6-0, and they have scored 8 unanswered runs. Unfortunately for Chattanooga, Connor Phillips got the start today and struggled. 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. So that was a little disappointing. Noah Marte was 1 for 3 at last check. The Dayton Dragons lost 1-0. They were 1 hit. I believe they got their hit in the 9th inning. They were on the verge of getting no hit. Not really a whole lot to talk about there. Hendrick and Arroyo both did not play. And then Daytona, the Magic has slowed a little bit. They lost 8-3. Collier 0 for 4. Carlos Jorge 1 for 4. Victor Costa 2 for 4 with a double. But Sal Stewart is off to a tremendous start. OPS over 1,000, 2 for 3, home run, walk, and the big guy stole a base tonight. So that is your Reds MILB recap presented by Bedford Sportsbook.
You say that so greatly. I know I'm just waiting for it. Presented by Bedford Sportsbook.
I look in the mirror
do you do that
5 times a day and just run through it, make sure it's crisp.
You do a great job. Thank you to Bedford. And I as always, I guess at this point, if Connor Overton's going to get any more starts, we are at this point going to take the over in those games. I highly doubt that the over tonight was.
I think it was 10. I think it was 10.
But it still went over. Still went over. So that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much you win by. You just got to win, baby.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Just a couple quick questions from the chat, and we'll wrap up this Friday. I'm moving into Saturday. A couple programming notes. Tomorrow, I may or may not be able to make it on the show. Nick is going to hold it down. I think he's going to try to find a guest to replace me that are guaranteed to be better. I promise you that. I've heard a few of the names, and they're definitely better than me sitting back here. Tomorrow, Chatterbox Sports is going to be broadcasting. I'm not sure what they're actually calling it. I think it's 3 games at Miami Redhawks Stadium. Made-up name I just made up for their softball. They are hosting the number 1 team in the country, the Oklahoma Sooners, the back-to-back national champions. So best of luck to the Redhawks. Redhawks actually have a really good softball program for those that didn't know, but we're going to be doing that all day. I'm going to make sure that hopefully that's going well, and Nick is going to hold it down. I don't know if that replacement guy can dunk. Probably not. If I had to guess, probably not.
Definitely doesn't have as strong of a backboard.
Yeah, I hung that backboard up too, by the way. So, although I lost, I won. Let's see here. There was one question I wanted to get into. I just seen it. It was a question about McLean. If McLean keeps hitting, I know early, but who does he push out when he's called up? Alex Wallace with the question. That is that's the reason many people that are asking for him to stay where he's at. I think that's the best and most clear argument to have is like you bring him up. Is he an everyday player? The answer is probably not. So why bring him up in the first place? I think that it's going to require an injury, in my opinion, for him to get called up. Not to say it's going to be a Wally Pipp type situation, but you never know how those things can go if somebody gets hurt. I don't think he's going to come up until something happens one way or the other. If Barrero struggles immensely, I think that could possibly make a move. But I'm still a believer in. They're not doing it for service time, but I just at this point there's am I being too, like, I guess what's the right term? Am I being too unpolitically correct by just saying you definitely make sure that from a service time standpoint we don't screw that up at this point?
Yeah, I mean, you're getting pretty close to the service time where you even get the extra year. I think you're right. I think it has to be an injury. I think Barrero could go over his next 20, and I still want to keep running him out there for a little bit longer. I think he's earned a little bit longer of a run. I think you had said early. You had said like 2 months, and
I definitely think Barrero should get 2 months.
I had said 1 month if he hit like he hit last year, but he hasn't hit like he hit last year. He's been a completely different player, so I think he's earned at least 2 months. He'd have to really just completely fall off the face of the earth. But yeah, I mean, Jose Barrero would be God forbid he gets hurt, he would be like the Wally Pipp type candidate. Spencer Steer gets hurt, Matt McLain not gonna come up and steal his position at this point. Jonathan India is not gonna steal his position. Right. So I mean, really,
Steve says, would India go to left? I think that's
not mid-season.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable thing to think that's going to happen maybe in the future. I don't know if they're going to do that like anytime soon. I almost think that the Reds are going to try to massage that situation too, because there's also egos involved. These guys are human, like it or not. Maybe Jonathan India is a huge team guy. He could care less if he gets moved, but I think he's also made pretty public statements about how he takes a great pride in wanting to be a good infielder. He thinks that he can be a good infielder. I think that he hasn't done anything right now that's made it very obvious that he couldn't do it. So to take one of your best hitters, if not your best hitter this year, and piss him off, seems like a bad idea. So I don't think we're going to be moving anybody, to be quite frank. So,
and you have some position flexibility. Jose Barrero, they've been playing him some in center field, so you could get into a situation where you call up Matt McLain and just say everyone miraculously is all healthy. You could just rotate. Spencer Steer could play first base if Votto needs a day off. Barrero could go to center field and Matt McLain plays second base. India can DH a lot. McLain plays second base. There's so many options. You can rotate those guys, helps keep guys fresh. That's what good teams do. Good teams have more than 8 good position. Well, it's 9 now. 9 good everyday players. You need 10, 11. You need guys that can contribute, because there's a lot of injuries that get you through the year. And when you don't have injuries, well, you just have a really darn good bench that you can have, good matchups and all that kind of stuff. Much more than just left, right. These guys, David Bell, when he's making these lineups out, they know, okay, this guy's stuff translates better for Jose Barrero versus Jonathan India or whatever it might be. So, I think there's plenty of ways. That's what David Bell's earned his paycheck, is finding how to get everyone time and keeping everyone happy and keeping everyone engaged, and all those kind of stuff that goes with that.
Brian asked a pretty good question that I am not going to be able to answer. Nick, you probably have a pretty good insight on this. He says, what reliever gets promoted tomorrow for Overton's DFA?
I feel like Connor has an option. Could be wrong on that. So I think Connor, I think
he's just saying that he's not good enough. He's just going to get rid of him. If I had to guess.
Okay.
I don't think that's going to happen, but let's just say they send him down. Are they going to bring a reliever up and play the options, send him down game?
Well, because I have to be right. Connor Overton has 3 options left, so he can be optioned. It's not an issue. I'm sorry, I'm not really prepared for this. Daniel Duarte pitched today. He's got a guy that's been up here. I don't think there's a lot of Louisville relievers that have necessarily been crushing it. I mean, I don't even want to put this out there in the universe, but you do have Hunter Strickland sitting there that that David Bell likes and has that experience. I don't want to see Hunter Strickland. Let me be very clear. I don't want to see him. But that would kind of track.
Okay. Well, we'll stop it at that for before everyone loses their minds. All right. Anything else? Anything else? Yeah. Steve Cashman in the chat, pretty funny little comment, says Louisville just called it. They don't want him either. So he's Chattanooga maybe be able to use him. By the way, the Lookouts are finding ways to like win games that are just wild. I mean, not only did they get they had that no-hitter situation going on there. You said that they scored how many runs late in the game tonight? 5.
They were down 6-0 and they scored 8 unanswered. And speaking of Louisville,
unanswered. Unreal.
And speaking of Louisville and that bullpen, who's on a 7-game losing streak, they were up 6-3. It's now 6-5, and the bases are loaded with no one out. So I don't know if you want any relievers from Louisville right now. Not necessarily a bunch of guys down there.
It's not good.
Crushing it.
I feel like we're just trying to polish a bunch of turds right now, aren't we?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. Just shining them on up, hoping they find a way to look a little bit better than the last time. But I think the bullpen, I think, has been criticized maybe a little too much at times. But it's almost one of those situations where it feels like the bullpen, statistically speaking, has done well in a decent amount of spots. But the problem, Nick, lies in the fact that when it mattered the most, or when it was a really, really tight contest, they couldn't deliver the goods. And that's really all that it comes down to a certain extent. You know, I'm not saying they couldn't. There hasn't been any instances this year where they haven't, Nick. But when you lead the league in losses, it doesn't matter how good you throw in other games, because everyone's just going to remember those losses, right? It's like almost like the "what have you done for me lately" approach for certain situations as well. I like how you're over here watching this Bats game with great intensity. It looks like
Will Benson just made a great cutoff to save the game for at the moment.
Shout out, Will.
Shout out.
Hopefully he hits up 4th Street Live. He gets his mojo back down there in Louisville. We'll be right back on up the old Red Legs, and we can figure out a way to polish that turd too.
One note on the bullpen, I tweeted this out earlier today, but I mean, the Reds just played so many one-run games. Half of their one-run games entering today, or half of their games entering today were one-run games. Last year, they only had 44 all season, which is 27%. So they've just had so many. And last year, the Reds were 21-23 in one-run games, and I think they had a worse bullpen last year. And so I just think some of this is just you had a lot of games, a lot of one-run games. You're not expected to have that many. And I think there was some positive regression that's due there, hopefully. Teams just aren't losing 5 out of 6 one-run games. The Oakland A's, who have only won 3 games all year, are 2-2 in one-run games. So some of it's just, it just was bad. I don't want to say bad luck, just bad sequencing, I guess would be the word.
Bad luck.
I know, bad sequence. Bad sequencing.
Yeah, that's also a reference in Ted Lasso. I hope water finds its level on these one-run games. I really do, because if we continue to lose them at the rate we were losing them there for a minute, you can talk about frustrating. Tonight doesn't even feel that bad because it just feels like we didn't, we just got beat. Didn't have a very good starting pitcher. So 8
in a row for Louisville. Just got walked off.
I feel like my and on top of that, my camera's frozen, which is just what a beautiful ending to this beautiful show that we have ran. All right, Nick, what do we got for tomorrow's starters? You got that graphic ready to rock and roll?
Oh, I got
throw it up, baby. Who do we got?
We've got Graham Ashcraft tomorrow.
Love that guy.
I tell you what. I love the move right now of splitting up Overton and Sessa. That aged very well here on Friday night. I love that I don't have to have watched Overton struggle tonight and then have to go watch Sessa tomorrow afternoon. So, yeah, Graham Ashcraft, he's been as good as he gets. Matt Strahm is a guy that has pitched really, really well for the Phillies so far this year. He was a reliever for the Padres, and they've kind of converted him back to a starter. Lefty, another lefty again. So be prepared for a lineup that some of you will hate. But But I think Strom's due for he's due for a little regression. I think Graham's pitching well, and I think the boys get back tomorrow. Let's go.
Hey, is this a safe space? Like, are we talking amongst our friends here?
This is a safe space.
I think I might be coming around on the idea that Fraley can't hit lefties. I know the statisticals have backed that up. I know the analytics have backed that up. I know that years of data have backed that up. However, I do think over time he probably will struggle with lefties based off what I've seen so far. That's my admission for the night, Nick.
I mean, some people just have to see it. I can look at 5 years of minor league data, and I'm pretty convinced, but each their own.
I like my eyes. Eyes are important to me, Nick. I like seeing it myself. I don't like just assuming.
Let's talk about that real quick. Do you? I honestly don't have an opinion on this. I'm curious if you do. Let me pull this off so we're not covering our faces. Well, your faces.
My face is frozen. Thanks, Nick. Yeah.
This is actually a great look for this question. Do you think there's anything to, like, a guy like Jake Fraley saying, all right, you want to hit against lefties, go out and prove it? Like, do you think there's any value to that? Like,
I think in a year like this, there could be. Because at some point, 5 leagues of minor league data, it is true. And then at some point, it gets in your head a little bit. That's like, oh, can I not hit lefties? I mean, just they don't, that they must know something that I don't. Or, you basically add insult to injury. So I just would like to see guys that are hot, Nick. More than anything, I'd like to see guys that are hot, that are playing above their weight or playing above their averages, or maybe seeing the ball better than they usually see it. We don't want to try to mess with that until it's proven that, they can't do it. And heaven forbid we don't face a lefty for, let's just say, 5-6 games in a row. And the next thing you know, Fraley's hitting, he's 13 for his last 16 or something absurd. It just seems crazy to me to think that you automatically just say, he's not in the lineup anymore. We're going to start a guy. Kevin Newman's going to run out there. Fairchild's had a pretty good start to the season, but you throw out these guys that they don't really have any proven success either. So you're just assuming that analytical data is going to play itself out. But to be completely fair, Fraley, he looked overmatched tonight. Now, some of that's the fact that the guy's throwing 95 plus, 97 plus, 98, 99, hitting 100 miles an hour. It's not easy to hit guys like that, but that's my main point to the whole, analytical game.
I see that argument. I think there's some validity to that. It's an interesting conversation. I'm not going to sit here and say like I'm completely set in stone. Like you can't do it. I think if the Reds are trying to win a World Series this year, you absolutely would platoon him. There's no reason not to. So I don't know. I could also see a situation where you could lose a little bit of his confidence, by playing him a whole bunch of left-handed pitching instead of him having a.
That's very true too, Nick.
Instead of him looking up at the scoreboard and seeing a 920 OPS, he's gonna see an 820 OPS because he got 50 at bats against a lefty that he didn't get last year.
That's fair too. To be frank with you, I think that's the best point that you've made on this show so far. Is that you can lose confidence if you start to struggle against lefties and you go out there and you play. So I think that's a fair point you made. I think
did Hunter Strickland sell Trace's camera? This Sean, man, he comes in hot in the chat he brings it. We gotta match Sean's intensity in this chat.
I apologize again, guys, with my camera. I made a mistake. I knew for damn well a fact that when I started this show, there's probably a decent chance that thing was going to die because I forgot to charge it. That's what happens when you don't charge batteries. Believe it or not, they die. It's a weird phenomenon. I got to figure out. I'll get to the bottom of it. All right. Well, like I said yesterday, and I will continue to say, these young guys continue to play well. I'm not going to get too upset. I thought we had some guys, Spencer Steer especially, continue to play well. So I'm going to hang my hat on that. We'll move in to tomorrow. As a reminder, Tomorrow's starter is a guy named Graham Ashcraft. He's very good at baseball, okay? He throws cutters like 99 miles an hour, and that's good for the Cincinnati Reds, and we're going to continue to watch it. And they got some girl pitching named Strom, and he just happens to be 1-0 with a 0 ERA, which is always great, and 10 strikeouts. So she throws the ball really, really well. And you know what else we do not have tomorrow, Nick? We do not have off the bench. But we do have Miami softball, so please, as a reminder, go and download Chatterbox Reds. Give it a rate. I'm checking the reviews, folks. I'm checking the reviews. I want to see some nice things said about us. You don't have to say it directly. You don't have to mention our names, nothing like that. Just say, hey, we think this show is splendid. We think this show is great. We like this show. You should listen to it too. Those are all the things. Those are just some templates. Those are templates on how you could leave a review on one of those podcast platforms. Apple, Spotify, Google, you name it. They're all over the place. You can find podcasts on damn near anything anymore. But more importantly, as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Tomorrow will be a better day. We're going to find a way to win. And we're going to go home, put our heads on the pillow on a Saturday night, and smell the sweet taste of victory. Until next time, Trace Fowler, Nick Kirby, we salute you, we thank you, and we say good night.